Hi everyone, today we have a new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Zvezda. So it's a kit in 1/72 scale. When we get here T-70B, it's a Soviet white tank, and in such small scale it will not take a lot of space. It might be fun build for all fans of the tiny scales, or maybe it can be a good candidate for your diorama project, because it will be obviously easier to replicate something with such tiny tank. But what I have here on the table, that's the final shape of this release, and it means you will get exactly the same stuff if you order it from any good model shop. And I would like to say thank you for helping me getting this kit, because without your help I wouldn't be able to do this. So first of all, you can see that the box size is rather typical for such release from Zvezda. Here you can see comparison with my hand. We also have quite nice box art here, and the kit number is 5078. I'm not sure if it's written on the frontal side, but here on the side we have the kit number designation, so you will know which kit you are dealing with. Also here on the side you have the colors chart, which is given in Zvezda and Tamiya paint numbers. And we have some information about the kit. So there are 122 parts. An assembled model will be only 5.9 centimeters long. So as I said, it's not such a huge build. On the opposite side, you can see also 3 other kits from the same brand. I reviewed them as well, so in case you are interested, you can find their videos on the same YouTube channel which you are watching at the moment. And here you can see also the pictures of the finished kit. So this is what will be actually copied in the plastic. And I can see that, well, first of all, the parts count is rather impressive for such a small thing, and also you can notice that a lot of items are actually copied in this tiny scale, so that's quite cool, and I think that's why it's worth checking it closer. So I just cut through the plastic seal, and here is what we have inside. So as you can see, all plastic parts are sealed into one plastic bag, but we also have the assembly manual, decals, and the marking guide inside, so we will be checking them one by one. First of all, I will open this sealed plastic bag. It's also a typical packaging styling for Zvezda, so nothing unusual, but it also somehow keeps parts intact, even though I prefer the separate plastic bags, especially in resealable plastic bags, but here we get this type of packaging, unfortunately. So, first, I would like to show you the only one-piece element in this kit. That's the lower hull section. And as you can see, we have the sidewalls, we have the floor panel. All of them are molded together, and also the rear armor wall is also in place. So it means you get the right alignment, and the only thing you need to add is the top panels, and you will be good to go. So this is rather cool. We also have some pins for the suspension or for the drivetrain parts. But as far as you can see, the torsion bars will be installed separately, so you'll have to get them into these slots which are molded here, but it's also quite a smart design. And we also had some features on the rear armor wall, so this is also quite decent for this size. And again, you can see it in comparison with my fingertips. This is not a huge thing to work on, so that's why for some older modelers, it might be a bit tricky due to the size. And the same can be said about the parts which you will see on the next pair of the sprues. As you can see, there are 2 of them. I'm leaving only one on the table because that's the same set of parts. And here we get the parts for the drivetrain. So it means the road wheels. Also we get the tracks. So it's nice to get the plastic tracks, but it might be a bit tricky with this separate track links here, because again of the size, but that's something you cannot avoid in 1/72 scale. But at the same time, the details for such size are rather impressive. And also I can see that the, for example, drive sprocket parts are attached on the teeth, not in between the teeth. So this is also a good thing, because it will help you to separate them without damaging the parts, which is rather good. And here you can check also the parts from the opposite side. Okay. Next, we have the biggest plastic sprue. It's the sprue B, and here we have the top hull section, which is molded here. And frankly speaking, I'm glad to see that it's not the separate glacis plate and separate top panel. It's actually one-piece part, which might be a bit easier to install, but in some cases it might be also trickier as well. Or I'm now looking, because this might be also the engine bay cover, because here we have the glacis plate parts. We also have 2 types of the turrets. We have that's the I would say, consequence of packing everything into one plastic bag, because you can see that the towing cable is broken because it's a one-piece part. It's quite thin part, and because of the pressure from the plastic sprues which we saw before, it was broken here. It's easy to fix. I would rather even replace it with a metal wire, but still not a nice thing to have. And also here we have the plastic track sections which will be placed on the idlers. We have also the side shells, some Pioneer tools here. Maybe it's worth zooming in and showing you what I was talking just 2 seconds ago, but a bit more in detail. So as you can see, we have the separate hatches, which is also nice for such kit. We do not get any figurines here, unfortunately, but maybe you will be able to find some aftermarket which you can buy separately and install into this tank. But overall, molding quality looks rather fine, and I hope that the fitment will be nice as well, because all of the recent releases from Zvezda are good in this sense. And here you can see also the parts from the opposite side, so everything looks quite fine. Next, we also have the decals. Here we get quite a simple set of the symbols. So as you can see, we have the full number registry, we also have some Soviet Army markings, and that's pretty much all. But the printing quality is really good, so this is also a typical feature for Zvezda. There is nothing to be worried about. It's just a matter of careful application and you'll be having a nice model. And in terms of the markings, I can see that there are 4 markings, and I learned this from this marking guide. So as you can see, it is printed in color. It shows the tank profiles here too and here too as well. So winter camouflages might be fun to replicate, especially this one, which is a bit weathered. So you get to play with the white coating weathering on the surfaces, which was usually heavily beaten on such vehicles. And as for the assembly manuals, here we get only one, so it's a black and white brochure of the large format, so that's why I'm zooming out even more. Here we have the short history note. We also have some assembly options, so as you can see, this is more related to the tank version as far as you can see, so different turret versions and the glacis plate. And if I open it here, we also get the parts map. Assembly process starts with the choice of the version which you will be building, because obviously you have to decide on the glacis plate. Next we continue with some additional parts for the armor, walls and suspension parts. I'm looking how the road wheels will have to be painted, because you have the rubber bandages on them and you have to do some precise painting in order to replicate the rubber section. Here we continue also with the track parts. We install the side shells and then we work with this single panel. So yes, it was right that this part of the panel which is pre-molded is actually the engine bay cover. We get the separate exhaust and Pioneer tools, as you remember. So the separate exhaust is actually useful so that you can replicate a bit more weathering and then just install it on the tank. Here we have the spare road wheel. There are also some details in the turret, which is rather surprising for this, and I can see that manufacturer does not offer to open the hatch, even the glacis plate one, even though here, as you can see, it is molded separately, so you can try to open it. And for the turret, well, here it will be a bit more tricky to open, but at least you get the tarp, which can be placed on the rear section of the turret, so that's also quite cool. And overall, I see that the assembly process will not be really difficult, even considering the size of this kit. It's just a matter of getting everything together and maybe making the weathering a bit more convincing so that it will look like a real tank. So this kit should be already available, as I said before. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about such release. Write it here in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.